Okay, try this again. This is a follow-up to the last video I made, which was about the difference between the three things of judgment, rejection, and abandonment, and why they fall like dominoes and feel so similar when they're really separate things to people with avoidant personality disorder. And the way to stop it. The way to stop it is to be really aware that they are separate things. How I do that is, I'm sure I've talked about this before. I read this book that was probably one of the most informative and helpful self-help books, philosophy books that I've ever read. It's called The Four Agreements. It's really good. Basically because it's simple, but hard, but really basic, really accurate, and I think that they would help you to do this, to do the separation between, is it just a judgment or is it actually a rejection, etc. And the four agreements are be impeccable with your word. In other words, don't lie and be dependable. Don't take things personally. This is really, really hard. This is the thing that really helps. If you can practice it in everyday life, let me break that down, how to do that. Okay, for example, this is going to sound goofy, and I'm going to give you really basic examples where you're like, obviously you don't take that personally. But some people do. Okay, for instance, there's basically two things in this world. There are facts and there are opinions. And a fact is something that just absolutely happens, and that's it. I know that nowadays people politically are trying to convolute the two things. But really, okay, for instance, if it's raining, it's not raining here, but if it is raining outside, that's just a fact. It's just a fact. And you can't take it personally. There are people that will take it personally. They're like, oh my God, the world hates me because it's raining. Oh, but that's kind of nuts. I'm saying this is a person with mental illness. That's kind of nuts. Don't do that. Don't take facts personally because they're just facts. Now, they might cause you to change your opinions on something or change what your plans are, but a fact is a fact. This would be things like, and this is the harder ones, and the real ones would be like, being downsized from your job. It feels like very, very personally. The last time I was fired, it did feel extremely personally, and it kind of was, because my job changed, and they told me outright that the job would entail a whole lot more talking with people and interacting with people, and they're like, we don't think that you're very good at that. And I'm like, oh, yes, you're right. I would suck at that. Thank you very much for saving me from the stress of trying to do something that I would not be able to do. And it was initially like, oh my God, punch in the gut. And then it was like the greatest, most caring thing that somebody could have done for me at that time, saving me from failing, because I absolutely would have failed. Or if, just the economy's changed and the position isn't there anymore and they don't have enough work for you, that might feel personal, but it probably isn't, because they don't downsize. It's one thing if they say, listen, you smell, and so you make everybody gag and you can't be at your job anymore. Okay, even that isn't really personal, because that is a hygiene issue, and okay, good feedback, next job you'll make sure that you're cleaner or something. The other thing that it can be is an opinion, and somebody's opinion is just their opinion, and it's just one individual person. It might be that what they're saying is aligning with what you've heard 5 million times from whoever it was that triggered your avoidance in the first place. It might be what the worst thing in the back of your head is telling you and it's killing your self-esteem. it's just still just one person's opinion, and people are allowed to have opinions, and people are allowed to have complete asshole opinions that are just really nasty things. They're allowed to have opinions that make no sense whatsoever. Okay, it's an opinion. Don't take somebody else's opinion personally. It's hard not to do that. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm saying these are the hard ones. It's hard not to do that. But again, that is the one, if you can work on that. And the way to work on it is to work on not taking facts personally, and then not taking facts that are closer to you personally. And then eventually you will be able to understand, okay, this is an opinion, and to not take that personally. It's just somebody else's opinion. It doesn't necessarily feel good. You're not going to feel good about everybody else's opinion, but it's not actually a reflection on you. This is like the hardest thing ever. I get it. That's why it works for me, is to work on this and to try to pay attention. And that is why, if you feel like you've had a judgment against you, if you have practiced really hard to say that's an opinion, it's an opinion about you, that's the hardest one, but it's still an opinion, and people are allowed to have an opinion, and it doesn't actually impact you. That's what to work on. And that helps me. It's sort of like a mantra. I go through these 4 things sometimes, and it helps ground me. The next one is don't make assumptions. This is like impossible for people with avoidant personality disorder, because that's what we do. That's what we do. That is like the number one thing that we do. We read micro expressions and try to figure out what people are thinking when we don't know, instead of asking. We try to see what the future is going to be and figure out how we're going to, again, that's a good coping technique, because then you're not blindsided by whatever could come down the pike. You've got it covered. You have a plan for dealing with everything. But pay attention. That's a good coping technique. Well, it's not a great coping technique, but it's a good coping technique. But make sure you don't make assumptions and plan your actions based on facts that you don't know are facts yet. That is an opinion. It's your opinion about what the best or most likely scenario would be in a certain situation. It hasn't actually happened yet. So don't make an assumption. Don't make an assumption about what somebody's thinking, and live as if you know for sure this person is thinking this. Because I've done that too, where I'm like, oh, I know this is what's going on with this person. Oh, I know they're rejecting me. And no, actually, it turns out there's some other totally major thing that's so crazy it wasn't even in my catastrophizing file of a possibility of something that could be going on. And they're just overwhelmed with this thing that happened. It wasn't a rejection at all. It was just no time that turn me into an asshole, which is what they say. If you assume, it makes an ass out of you and me. Don't do that. Try not to do that. That will help. That will help if you assume that criticism or whatever will automatically lead to rejection, which will automatically, oh, look at me. I'm definitely making these videos because look at me. I realize the camera's on me after a while and just, anyway, nothing personal. If you assume that because you've had some judgment, somebody's criticized you, that then you will be rejected and automatically abandoned, you assume this is happening and you live your life as if it's happened. I mean, you can destroy good relationships doing that. You could like I said, I've heard of people who are like, okay, well, once it starts, I'm out, I'm gone. What if you go, oh, there's something up with the boss, I'm going to quit right now. What's up with the boss? He just got divorce papers. That's what's up with the boss. It has nothing to do with you. That's an assumption, and that can really screw up your life. And if you can focus on that and say, this is my assumption, I'm not going to act on it because it's not real. I don't have the facts to back it up. It might look like it. It might, got to prep myself. That might be what's going to happen, but this is an assumption. I don't know yet. And the fourth one, also super important in this case of the 4 assumptions or the 4 agreements, is do the best you can. Now, for an avoidant person, just being aware that it's an assumption, even though you still continue to act as if, okay, this has happened, but be aware that there could be some, it's not 100% guaranteed. Just that step might be your best right now. It might be your best right now to realize a rejection isn't always abandonment. And it's not always 100%. It might be that you're rejected for this one little thing, but 99% you're still not rejected. It's just one little thing. Now, for other people, that's really easy for them to do. For people with avoidant personality disorder, that's impossible to get your head around. And if you practice it more and more, just being aware can make it easier. If you are aware, okay, this is me overthinking at this moment. This is not an actual fact yet. You know, and even if you say that, that alone gives you a little bit of leeway to be able to function better. And so that is better. Do your best. Your best is a little bit better than letting the avoidance run you over like a freight train. So that's my advice on how to deal with this domino effect of first comes judgment, then comes rejection, then comes abandonment.